everybody. Welcome again to another episode of Disability Perspective. I'm Charlie Brose. My partner, Mark Knutson, unfortunately could not be here today, but I'm here with an old friend of ours, Marie Cooney, who is you're a spotlight operator.
Yes.
For the ice hockey.
Yes.
At the Xcel, correct?
I am.
And you had to take some time off of that because you had a couple of traumatic brain injuries.
I did. I had one work-related brain injury during a dance show.
Okay.
And I tell people, I didn't tell people for a long time, but I experienced my dad, who had died when I was 21.
Oh.
So when people said, "Are you okay?" I said, "No, take my cue." And I didn't talk about it because I didn't know how to talk about it.
Sure.
And then I eventually talked to my neurologist about it, and she said, well, there's anecdotal evidence that those things happen, and whether it's the synapses going off in your brain or a spiritual encounter, your dad was there when you needed him most. And then probably 5 years later, I was setting up for the Carlos Santana concert with the Stagehands Union, and I flew off the front of the stage.
Oh, man.
Stage was 6 feet, I had 5.5 feet of my height. My head fell almost 12 feet and splat on the cement floor.
That's a shame.
I was knocked out and woke up at the Regents Hospital Trauma Center.
Sure.
And I thought I would never sail again, I would never work again. I just thought my life as I previously knew it was over.
Right.
And 17 years post-traumatic brain injury, the union set out a message: we're looking for qualified spot ops. And I have been a spotlight operator for many, many shows.
Sure.
In theater, dance, music, opera. It was my favorite job.
Okay.
And I said, well, I think I'm going to try it. And once I did the Dizzy on Ice show in 2022, I like to say Disney on Ice broke the ice. And then I started taking calls for the Minnesota Wild.
Okay. Nice.
There's two of us up in the catwalk, and we pick up the flag bearer coming from Zamboni land, and they plant the ice. They plant a flag on the ice, and there's a special effect, and we black out. Then we pick up the anthem singer.
Okay.
And this I find very funny, is if Minnesota gets a shot, we pick up whoever got the shot, and we give them their moment of glory in the spotlight. If the other team gets a shot, we don't care.
Yeah, you don't do it.
We don't care.
Exactly.
So it's been a lot of fun, and sometimes there's very low scoring games, but there was a game where the Wild played, and it was 10-7, and they had come up from behind, and that game had two, I don't know if you're familiar, I'm learning so much about hockey, but that game had 2 hat tricks. It actually had 3 hat tricks, one from the opposing team and 2 from the Wild.
Okay.
So the fact that it was 10-7 was just an amazing game.
Yeah, that's very high scoring for a hockey game.
Or was it 10-3? Seven goals lead. Anyways, I can't remember. It's part of the brain injury, short-term memory.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'm very excited to be back running a spotlight.
Okay.
It was my favorite job as a stagehand, and I have worked for multiple locals for the Stagehands Union here in Minnesota, as well as out east where I'm originally from.
Okay. No, when you went back to doing the spotlight operator, did you have any trepidation or any concerns given that what had happened previously?
I did. At Courage, I did the community reintegration program at Courage.
Okay.
And one of the things I learned was, how do you how do you facilitate your ability to be in community with people, given the fact you have a disability?
Sure.
And so I put together what we call compensatory strategies. And my biggest strategy is wearing a visor almost everywhere I go. What it does is it blocks off the overhead light.
Sure.
And then if I'm talking to you and a motorcycle goes by, I just tilt my head, and nobody knows that I'm actually protecting myself and helping myself to continue to be in community. So my visor is the biggest thing I have. The second thing is workers' compensation didn't want to pay for my glasses. They said, you wore glasses before your brain injury, so why should we pay for new glasses?
Of course.
But a stagehand friend of mine said, see if she can, told a friend, see if Marie can get heavy glare glasses. And these are bifocals.
Oh, nice.
And they also have a foam insert. So the foam insert completely blocks off extraneous light
Oh, okay.
hitting me at the side, or hitting me at the top, or hitting me from above. And the foam just clicks into the glasses. And I got these, they're called heavy glare glasses, and I get them from a guy in Burnsville. But this has, having these has improved my life drastically. I have a light color amber, and I have a dark amber, especially in the snow.
Oh, yeah.
The reflection of the snow coming every angle can be very debilitating. And I used to sail competitively. I no longer sail competitively because if the boom hit me in the head, it could kill me.
Yeah.
But I never dreamed I would own a sailboat, and I now have a sailboat up in Duluth, and I have my very dark amber glasses because of the shining off of the water.
Off the water, sure.
In every angle, every direction. So these are my two most important aids for living a more proactive life.
Okay. So they help you deal with light and issues like that so that you can continue to do what you do.
Yes.
That's very good. We were kind of pleasantly surprised to see you on Channel 9 News the other night. And we even got a plug because we were part of the story. They used a still of us with the interview we did with you a few years ago.
They used a piece from each of the two stories, I think.
I think that, yeah, you're right, they did.
Yeah.
And we were very pleased to see that. And it's like, man, a little free publicity never hurts. And part of the reason you were on there is because March is Brain Injury Awareness Month.
Yes, March is Brain Injury Awareness Month, and I tell stories regularly at Strike Theater. And I had used the occasion to tell the story about each of the two brain injuries I had had at work. And this gentleman named Phil Gonzalez comes up to me afterwards and said, oh my God, that's an amazing story. Would you be willing to be interviewed? Fox 9 News has gotten in touch with the Brain Injury Alliance, and they want to know if we have a speaker we'd recommend. And I said, sure. So within less than a week, Leah Bino, an amazing anchor, came to my home. We did an interview, and she asked me to send some still photographs to her. And she also went online to where I have my YouTube. And I had told her that I had an interview with you and Mark, and that I had stories on there. So when she left my house, I had no idea what was going to be on the news the following Wednesday, and I couldn't be more pleased because it was really, really good. She took the time to get to know me, and Channel 9 and Leah and the broadcast personnel gave people hope, and that's really what it's about. Is there are a lot of devastating stories, and I myself will say, until you grieve the loss of yourself, there isn't hope.
Right.
And, when people say you have to have hope but aren't walking in your shoes, that can feel really insulting. But if you're given the time to grieve the things you can no longer do because you've sustained an injury or because you now have an illness, you need the time to grieve the parts of you that cannot be anymore in order to embrace the new things you're doing. And so now I'm doing new things I never thought possible, like being interviewed twice in 1 month.
That's the fun stuff. You still keep your sailboat, right?
My sailboat's up in Duluth.
So you do get a chance to get up on it once in a while.
I was sailing regularly until the pandemic, and when the pandemic hit, my boat wasn't used.
Sure.
So it needs some TLC. It needs some tender loving care because it's been through a lot through the last 3 winters.
Well, yeah. There's some project when you're not up on a catwalk, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, I need someone to help me with this. I'm not,
So it sounds like, you've dealt with the injury, and you've adjusted your life to make it work for you.
Yes.
And that's a big part of any disability is, for anybody. We have people, we've known people that have become quadriplegics, but can still become musicians.
Right.
And they don't realize that until somebody shows them the way or says, why don't we try this? And for you, it's the trying different things. With the glasses, was that trial and error too to kind of find the combination that finally worked for you?
I bought so many different glasses at the beginning of my injury. And I hate to say the fortunate thing, but it is. When I facilitated a brain injury support group at Courage Center, I was the only person who had a work comp case. Everybody else had been injured at home or in a car accident, and their medical treatment was very limited.
Sure.
And one of the women I used to sail with said, here's my lawyer's phone number, call him. And because I had a lawyer, and anyone who's injured, get a lawyer.
Sure.
100% get a lawyer. And if you have a brain injury, 200% get a lawyer because you're not thinking straight.
Yeah, you need someone to help do that thinking with you.
Yeah, so I had gone through a slew of doctors. Of course, the neurologist, physical medicine, rehabilitation. I had gone to occupational therapy, speech therapy, Courage Center's community reintegration program. I had gone to a urologist because I lost full control of my bladder in a grocery store one day. And
that's not a good feeling, I'm sure.
It's not a good feeling. And the question was it a urology problem or was it a seizure problem? And it was determined something triggered a petite seizure in me, and that's why I lost full control. The same thing as that, I also went to an eye doctor because I was having headaches, so they wanted to rule out, was it an eye problem?
Right.
And we all knew.
Yeah.
It's a brain problem. It's not an eye problem. It's not a urinary tract infection problem. It's that your brain is processing things differently. And so, to be blunt, I asked the neurologist I know it's a brain problem, you know it's a brain problem, the eye doctor knows it's a brain problem. How do we up the ante to get my life better? And my neurologist said, I'm going to recommend you go to a neuro-ophthalmologist. So although workers' comp didn't want to pay for my glasses, they had to pay for the specialist.
Well, that helps.
Who then prescribed these glasses. So my glasses are bifocals
Okay.
with the inserts, and they're a very, very specific tint, and it's amber number 41.
Okay.
There are other people with brain injuries who, for whatever reason with their brain injury, they need a blue tinted glass.
Okay.
So Dr. Michael Lee from the University of Minnesota prescribed these, and I've seen him. And he also did a number of neuroblocks in the back of my head because your optic nerves are in the back of your head.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
So I used to get them regularly,
Okay.
and now I don't get them as often because
Because-
I'm learning to live with the disability, and I haven't had nearly as many migraines. I used to get them a lot. I never had a single migraine prior to a brain injury.
Sure.
And then afterwards, it was like, oh my God, these are so debilitating.
Yeah.
And now I tell a lot of people, get a visor, test your glasses, see
Right.
what will work, and if you have the finances, go see a neuro-ophthalmologist.
Right. No, that helps. That does really help. And it sounds like you've been finding the right places to go and the right doctors to talk to, even if you have to kind of force the issue with them.
Yes.
And that helps a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, you've had a lot of challenges with it, but you're making your life your new normal
Yes.
as the way you want to live it.
And the new normal, if you're able to embrace it,
Yeah.
will make more things possible.
Yeah, there you go. On the recreational side, I see your jacket has the emblem for our new ladies power hockey team.
The Minnesota Professional Women's Hockey League.
Yeah.
And what's very exciting is after working the Wild Games for a number of years, this year I have worked every single one of the women's game as a spotlight operator, except for the one I was in the audience. And that was Valentine's Day, the day we won a great game and then came out to snow.
Yeah.
But it has just been so exciting to be up in the catwalks, watching the game, being able to see from a bird's eye view how they're playing.
Yeah.
I mean, down on rink level, you don't see as much. You see closer, but to be able to see the strategies and how they're working with each other is very exciting.
You see the movements and their plays kind of setting up as they're
Yes.
moving down the ice.
Yes.
That is, well, that's why we get it on TV that way.
Yeah, and it's great for both the Minnesota Wild and for the Team Minnesota for the Professional Women's Hockey League. There's just such talent, and to be able to observe it from above live is very exciting. And the other thing I find very exciting is the young people who are going to these games,
yep.
and just hearing the roar of children
Yeah.
delighting at women's hockey.
And as far as I've heard, Minnesota has some of the best attendance in the league.
Yes, they have, and one of the reasons is they are the only team in the league that is playing on NHL ice.
Yep.
And there was one day that there was a Wild game that they went and played at Mariucci. Mariucci was great. It was like a homecoming day for some of the women who had played for the U of M hockey.
Oh, sure.
So some of the other teams throughout the hockey league have played some games on big arenas, but we're the one team that has played consistently at the Xcel
Well, and
a huge arena.
that's the difference between them and their predecessor, the Whitecaps, is the Whitecaps played at the smaller arena where it basically the practice facility for the Wild.
Right.
And I mean, they would sell that out, but it's not as big a crowd as what you could hope for. And at Xcel, they're drawing people like you wouldn't believe, and they're having a great season doing it.
Yeah.
And it's really fun to see the development that's coming with this.
The numbers go down a little bit, and I'm going to say during the weekdays, it's hard.
Oh, yeah.
But there was a game on a holiday, and the numbers were back up. And when the camera operators are doing pictures of the audience and putting it up on the scoreboard, you know, there's a little girl with a sign saying, "I skipped school to see you play." So
Now that's the best part.
so I'm going to encourage people, if it's a weekday game, go anyway.
Yeah.
Because there's not many left.
Well, and there's a handful of them where they've made it kind of almost a double header, where the women will play in the afternoon, and then the Wild will be back there in the evening.
Right.
And that kind of encourages people. Well, we can go to the ladies' game first, go grab a bite to eat, and then come watch the Wild.
Right.
And I think that would be a great day of hockey to be involved with.
Well, this weekend I'm working 4 games.
Oh, wow.
So it's the men's college games.
Oh, yes.
Then it's
it's the
a Minnesota Wild game and a Minnesota professional women's hockey game.
Okay.
So I have three different
Styles.
types of games in the same arena.
Yeah, that's the Frozen Four is taking place there this weekend. Yeah, and you get the Wild and the women, and it's going to be a hockey-filled weekend for a snow-filled weekend with Minnesota. So yeah, keep those glasses handy because we're getting all that snow we haven't gotten all winter.
I know.
And I'm not looking forward to it myself. So, well, it's been a pleasure to have you back. I'm glad to hear you're doing great and getting back to work and getting what you love, and operating the spotlights, learning the new sports, because hockey was kind of foreign to you coming into this, right?
It wasn't a sport I followed much.
Right.
I mean, when I grew up, it was the Bobby Orr era of the Bruins.
Certainly.
So it wasn't a sport that I followed.
Right.
But now I am just so hooked on it.
Yeah.
And I'm hooked on men's hockey and women's hockey,
Okay.
and grateful that both are available in this state.
Yeah. Now, the Wild are struggling, so we got that problem, but we do have a great excitement with the ladies playing, so it's good to see all that. Well, Marie, it's been a pleasure to have you here again. Hope we stay in touch and have you back, and maybe we'll have you back as the announcer next year for the women's hockey.
No, I don't think so. But thank you, Charlie. I'm very happy to be here again. I appreciate your getting in touch with me.
Indeed. Well, you gave us the publicity, or Channel 9 gave us the publicity, so we thought we'd have you come back and build a little more.
Thank you.
I'm Charlie Brose. This has been Disability Perspective. I want to thank Marie Cooney for coming in. We'll see you all next time.